Hi friends, today we celebrate the feast of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, and so I place before you three Ignatian principles. Very simple. The first one is think high. The Ignatian principle is the Majus. So at the simplest level, it is thinking beyond. For example, how would you be able to cut a bar of cake into 8 slices just with 3 cuts? Now to think beyond, normally we cut it like this, but the other way would first cut it into 2 halves and then the normal 2 cuts, 8 slices. The second way of thinking high, I like the little example, the anecdote of 3 men building a wall. The first man said, I'm putting 1 brick on top of the other. The second man said, I'm constructing a building. But the third man who was thinking high said, I am helping to build the cathedral. Thinking high. And the third way of thinking high, the Majus, is thinking as God thinks. So what does it mean? Taking anything you need to do to prayer and asking God to guide you in all that you do. That is the highest level of thinking high, the Majus. Doing things as God wants, God's will in your life. The second principle, the Ignatian principle, is loving wide. The Ignatian principle, going to the periphery. At the smallest level and narrowest level is selfishness, loving yourself, loving your family, loving your friends because I'm getting something out of it, loving people who think like me. But really loving wide, going to the periphery, is loving people who don't think like you, who are of different cultures, who don't even like you. That is loving wide. The Ignatian principle, going to the peripheries. And an example for you right now. Recently, I spoke to a man who said there was a lady in the building spreading rumors, false rumors about him. And then, when this lady's husband had COVID in the first wave, there was no one to help her. But he went and helped her, taking her husband to hospital. That is loving wide. Jesus shows this to us upon the cross. Remember that question was asked to him, Jesus, how much do you love me? And he said, so much. And he stretched out his arms on the cross and died for the very people who put him to death and for all of us. The third Ignatian principle is be low. And the principle is humility. The example I have before you is what Abdul Kalam gives. He was the director of the program to make a launch vehicle for satellites. And they said everything was done perfectly well, but when the launch vehicle took off, it plunged into the sea. What happened next? The chairman, Satish Dhawan, that is the boss of Abdul Kalam, when all the pressmen came to speak about and ask about the failure, he came out and took responsibility for the failure. A year later, when finally they managed to put a satellite into space, where was Satish Dhawan? The boss, the chairman, he was behind. He sent Abdul Kalam in front to take all the praise. So the 3 Ignatian principles, first is think high, Majus, love wide, going to the peripheries, be low, humility. God bless you.